So simple tutorial.
यदि आपके अंगूठे में दर्द है, यदि आपको लाइक, शेयर या सब्सक्राइब करने में कष्ट होता है, तो मान्यवर ये वीडियो आपके लिए नहीं है। आपसे विनम्र निवेदन है कि आप इसे छोड़कर जा सकते हैं।
Good morning students. Welcome to SST So Simple Tutorial. This is Vijay Singh, your social science teacher for grades 9 and 10. So far we have discussed what is poverty line, poverty estimates, interstate disparities and global poverty scenario. Today we will discuss causes of poverty. See, poverty is caused mainly by three factors: low level of economic development, inequalities of income and assets, and growth of population. However, there are other factors also responsible for poverty. Those may be rise in prices, illiteracy, unemployment, or other social causes. But today we will keep our discussion restricted to what is covered in your textbook. First, let us discuss low level of economic development during the colonial rule. Before coming under the British control in the mid 18th century, India was one of the largest producer and exporter of raw cotton and handloom textiles. Handloom industries employed the largest number of men and women after agriculture. In the early 18th century, the English textile manufacturers resented the popularity of our clothes in England. Thereafter, things started to change. They imposed heavy duties on Indian goods in Britain and promoted the sale of British clothes in India. The British clothes, being cheap, gave stiff competition to the relatively expensive Indian cloth. Many Indian spinners and weavers were unable to sell their produce and were forced to look for other means of livelihood. All this was a great setback for the Indian textile industry. The British government here in India did not impose any duties on the foreign goods to protect the Indian industries. So such policies basically discouraged and actually ruined Indian industries. This resulted in less job opportunities and low growth rates of income and left millions of weavers poor. This is how, instead of establishing industries, they deindustrialized India. They never bothered to develop India economically. They just wanted to reduce India to the status of a mere exporter of raw materials for industries in Britain and turn India into a market for the finished goods of the British industries. So their policies rather protected and promoted British economic interests. You can see that even after so many years of independent India, we can find a major section of people engaged in handicraft industries as downtrodden. I hope this is clear. Next, low level of economic development even after independence. Even after independence, over a period of about 30 years, up to almost 80s, India witnessed a low level of economic development. This also resulted in less job opportunities. There was less per capita income growth and so that hardly helped reduce poverty. Unfortunately, this was accompanied by a high growth rate of population, particularly among the poor. There was no control of the population. It kept on increasing unabated. Either the population was ignorant of the birth control measures or were not convinced of the need for birth control. Whatever may be the case, but both these things, low economic development and population growth combined, contributed a lot to increasing poverty. I hope this point is clear. Let us now go to the next point: backwardness in agriculture. Agriculture in India, dear students, continued to be backward. People mostly used traditional methods of production. As a result, land productivity remained low. Benefits of agriculture, whatever, were confined mainly to the rich landlords. Farmers lived in the state of poverty, and the landless laborers continued to live in misery. When the Green Revolution came, it improved job opportunities in agriculture, but that happened only in certain areas of the country. Initially, industries were set up, both in the public and the private sectors, but they were very less. They could not provide jobs to all because jobs were less and the job seekers were more. As a result, people started working as rickshaw pullers, vendors, construction workers, domestic servants, etc. Such jobs, are not only irregular but also low income jobs. People could not afford good food and housing. They started to live in slums and thus caused poverty. Let us come to the next point, huge income inequalities. Another feature of high poverty rates has been the huge income inequalities, both in the rural and urban areas of the country. One of the major reasons for this is the unequal distribution of land and other resources. The government has not been able to effectively tackle the issue of inequality in the distribution of assets. For example, the policy of land reforms, which aimed at redistribution of land in the rural areas. Since lack of land resources has been one of the major causes of poverty in India, proper implementation of policy could have improved the life of millions of rural poor. Next, social, cultural, and economic factors. In our society, from birth to marriage till death, a lot of rituals and ceremonies are followed. People have to observe such religious ceremonies and fulfill social obligations. But most of the time, they spend a lot of money in ceremonies of marriage and birth under social cultural pressure, which otherwise they would not do. They have to make arrangements for food, etc., by going beyond their pocket. So they borrow money. If you look at the economic factors, small farmers need money to buy agricultural inputs like seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, etc. Since small farmers hardly have any savings, they borrow. Particularly when crop fails, they are unable to repay the loans and thus they become victims of indebtedness. So the high level of indebtedness also becomes a cause of poverty. Let me stop here, students. Let us quickly recap the important points learned so far. You can also repeat with me on fingertips. First, low level of economic development during the colonial rule. Second, low level of economic development post independence. Next, backwardness in agriculture. Fourth, high income inequalities. Next, socio-cultural and economic factors. Now you read your book. In the next class, we will discuss anti-poverty measures. Till then, enjoy reading and have a fantastic time. Thank you.